following will be true of. There's some places in their life where they are not satisfied with the choices they have or the quality of the consequences of the choices they are exercising. Flat out. I mean, you don't need to know anything about them except the fact they walked into your office to know that. So it's a really good place to make the initial connection, because both the unconscious and conscious will go, well, at least she or he knows that much. Let's find out what else they can do. So now the question is, if you ask them to describe what they want, you'll get this in most people, an emptying of a lot of different things that they want. And it won't be organized, it won't be prioritized, etc. And it'll be rife with descriptions which you cannot tell whether they're conscious or unconscious descriptions. And I personally find it less than interesting to listen to such a presentation. So to avoid that, I've, over the years, worked out ways of being precise about what we're doing without over-influence on the part of the consciousness, thinking about consciously left brain stuff that they want, and being precise enough to have an application context which I know that I can get to. That's where the context came in. So if I ask someone, of all the places in your life where you'd like difference, pick one which is really important to you, that you really want differences in, but pick it not describing the behavior, not describing your intention, describe the context. And as a matter of fact, don't even describe it. See it and hear it over there. So I remove it from the verbal and I put it into the visual and auditory channels. And now I'm scanning, calibrating the client with as much precision as I'm capable of. And I'm looking for two things. One, that there is visualization and auditory transmission coming from the context, which of course I can't see or hear. And they're not being drawn into the context, that their behavior starts to change, which is probably the indication of what they are like in that context. Because the natural thing when you see and hear that going on is to have the feelings that are associated with it. So I want that disassociation. It's critical to leave the person intact here kinesthetically, but they can see and hear the context over there. That gives me the option of subjecting them to the context or not, and therefore calibrating quite easily the differences in the state when they're in the context and when they're not. And it gives me, of course, if I decide to send them into the context in step 2, a calibration of their state physiologically, which I can compare with the state that they're in when they go in the new state, the one from the alphabet or NASA or rhythm of life or rhythm of breath. And that gives me a sense of how much change has occurred. I'm not trying to quantify it, but it lets me know there's a big difference here. And that gives me confidence that what we've set out to do, we have accomplished. And then it's trial and error into the world. And they discover that they spontaneously behave differently in that context or contexts that are structurally similar.